Okay, function notation. Okay, function notation up here at the top. I just want you to write a few things. Okay, so you're used to seeing this. Y equals mx plus b, right? That's just basic. Y equals mx plus b. You're used to seeing that. Well, function notation takes this y and changes it to f of x equals mx plus b. The f stands for function. Function notation. It's still something you've been seeing before. All it is this: instead of y equals, it's f of x equals, or g of x equals, or h of x equals. Something of x equals. Okay? That's all it is. It's all they change. Now you still go about it the same way. Okay? Now, if you look right here, it says evaluate the following expressions given the functions below. So they give us some functions right here. We got g of x, f of x, h of x, j of x. And then it gives an equation. So if you look where it says g of 10. Okay, so we're going to use the one with the g, which is this one right here. Now, what do you see in this g of x that you don't see in this one? The x, right? The x is supposed to go right there. Well, since there's a 10 in that place, where do you think you plug that 10 into? To the x. Okay, so in the equation, you would have this. Negative 3 times 10 plus 1. You just plug it into the x in the equation. So anytime you see f of something, a number, g of something, a number, whatever, you just plug it into the x in the equation and solve. So what do we get for this answer? Negative 3 times 10 plus 1? Negative what? Negative 29. Use that calculator. Type it in just like you see it. Okay, so f of 3. Okay, there's actually supposed to be an x above that 3, so we're going to plug that 3 into the x, right? So I get 3 squared plus 7. What is 3 squared plus 7? 16. Does this make perfect sense? Okay. Alright, so h of negative 2. So I got 12 divided by negative 2. Negative 6. Now everybody understands why I'm choosing different equations, right? Because the letters that start the equation. That's what I'm going with off of the question. Okay, so j of 7. So I got 2 times 7 plus 9. 23. Pretty simple, right? I mean, so far, pretty easy. Yeah, all you're doing is plugging into x. Okay, now h of a. Now, it gives you h of a. Well, there's really supposed to be an x right there. So you would look at it like this. 12 divided by a. Just plug the a in for x. That's it. You can't do anything further. Right? Because you can't solve 12 divided by a, right? So you just change out the letters. Okay? I know that one kind of sounds confusing, but you'll be alright. Okay, now let's look at f. Now f, we kind of change it a little bit. It says find x if g of x equals 16. So we're trying to find the x. So that means the 16, it equals 16 in the end. So we'll go to g of x. So they're saying this. Negative 3x plus 1 equals 16. Then you got to solve for x. Okay, so I draw my line. What do I do from here? Subtract 1. Perfect. So then you get negative 3x equals 15. Then what? Divide by negative 3. So then you get x equals negative 5. So here's how this may look in the end. So we got x equals negative 5. So basically this, g of x or g of negative 5 equals 16. That's saying if we plug the negative 5 in to the x, right? Because there should be an x right there. And work it out, it's going to give us 16. That's what that's saying. Okay, so anytime you get g of x or h of x or f of x equals a number, you're solving for x. Anytime it gives you g of 5, g of 4, f of 4, you plug that number into x. Okay? If the number's inside the parentheses, plug it in. If the number's outside the equal sign, solve for x. Okay, so find x if h of x equals negative 2. So, we got 12 divided by x equals negative 2. Now, what do we get here? You got multiply by 12? Now this one's kind of tricky, so think. 12 divided by something is negative 2. It'd be negative 6, right? So x equals negative 6. Now if you multiplied by 12 to each side, that would give you a negative 24. So you actually got to divide by 1/12. You got to flip it since the number's on top. Okay? So it's kind of weird. So if you think about it, 12 divided by something is negative 2. Or you could do this. Multiply by x to each side. And you get this. 12 equals 2x, or negative 2x divided by negative 2 to each side. X equals negative 6. Okay, so that's saying h of negative 6 equals negative 2. Okay, so I want you to try h real fast. Find x if f of x equals 23. This one's tough. This one's a tricky one. Anybody get anything yet? Or close to it? And the reason why I say this one's tough is because that x squared. Okay, anybody get something? Any number? 4?
536.
Whoa. 500 what?
36.
Whoa. Alright, well, okay, so first of all, let's draw our line. Subtract 7, right? So you get x squared equals 16, right? So they're saying something squared equals 16, which is 4. Okay, 4 squared. Now the way you undo that, like you know how we were doing opposite of multiplication is division, opposite of division is multiplication, all that. The opposite of a square is the square root. You take the square root of that number. Okay? So it shouldn't be 536. Close. But it shouldn't be 536. Okay? So it should be 4. So this is saying f of 4 equals 23. Okay? So far so good on the whole, plugging it in, all that stuff. No.